Hey everybody, it's Aluna Michaels, Esoteric Astrologer, coming at you to talk about July of 2026. And as always, thank you to the guys at Know Thyself podcast. You've been so wonderful to me. Thank you, Daniel and Eduardo. Go listen to them, they're awesome. So, okay. So, at the very end of June, I didn't talk about it in my June video, or just alluded to it, that Jupiter is moving into Leo. Yay! Jupiter moves into a new sign once a year, has a 12-year orbit, so it stays in a sign for a year. And Jupiter is a planet of celebration and positive things and all that, and magnifies things. It can blow things out of proportion, but usually Jupiter. I had a client that had a lot of Jupiter in his chart. I remember he said to me, as I was saying about Jupiter, sometimes you can overdo it, and he said, "My motto is anything worth doing is worth overdoing." I thought that was like the quintessential Jupiter quote. And sometimes that's good, sometimes it's not so good. But when Jupiter changes signs, it feels fun, and not like Jupiter in Cancer isn't great. It's just a certain theme. And then we go, okay, I'm kind of done with that theme. Let's do a new one, And, Cancer and Leo are kind of similar in the sense they're both about protecting a group. Cancer tends to be more like the family, like in a maybe mothering way, and Leo more protective in a dad way, or Cancer's more emotionally, it's water, and Leo's fire, and it's from the heart, and Cancer is like the belly and the warmth and the cuddly, and Leo's like, yeah, I'm protecting you, or you're part of this group, and so Jupiter is about groups themselves, so there can be a lot of when Jupiter's in Cancer and Leo, building coalitions with people, feeling connected to new groups, but there's more kind of like fun and fieriness and playfulness with Jupiter and Leo, as opposed to Cancer's about feeling safe, everyone's getting to know each other, or it's just cozy, cuddling, sitting on the couch watching Netflix, I don't know, after a wonderful meal. And Leo's just like, woo, let's go out, just more, or let's play charades, or I don't know, something. It's more active, and it's nice for connecting with people in general, and it is very much about taking action and people feeling things from the heart. They're much more outwardly passionate about what they feel, what they believe. It's not as shy as Jupiter in Cancer, even though Jupiter is not very shy wherever sign it's in, but kind of feel like just this big heartedness. Now, I was talking last month, and I'll be talking about this for a while, that Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, the three outer planets, Uranus, 84-year orbit, or let me say it this way. Uranus changes signs once every 7 years. Neptune every 14 years. Pluto every between 15 and 30 years, because it has a weird elliptical orbit that makes it go faster at certain points and slower at another. But all three have changed into new signs. Pluto in Aquarius, Neptune in Aries, and Uranus in Gemini. And so Aquarius and Gemini are air signs together that trine each other, which is a nice flow of energy. And then Neptune in Aries is sextiles. It's a fire sign that works well with air signs. So all the outer planets are like in configuration that's like, yeah, we're getting along, and it helps consciousness evolve. It can help you break through a lot of stuck energy. And in June, they were very much, sorry, I was gardening, and that was like tickly from all the junk in the garden. That last month I was saying they were definitely geometrically, mathematically in range, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. And in July, they're even more so, like exact there, and they're going to be real close, even August as well. So there's a lot of opportunities for breakthroughs and people daring to speak the truth about who they are, feel comfortable being their authentic self, and in speaking from the heart, protecting others, it's like very inclusive energy. And it's bold now that Jupiter being in Leo is making a sextile to Uranus, a trine to Neptune, and Uranus is like breakthrough ideas and speaking those ideas. So Jupiter is like, yeah, speak those ideas. Let's do this. Let's open our hearts and do this. And then Neptune is like open-heartedness, but it's very emotionally bold because Aries is a fire sign, and it's very like natural, just naturally loving, instinctively loving people. Kind of like golden retrievers are like, hi, who are you? You seem fun. Just this wonderful open-heartedness with Neptune being in Aries, especially when it trines fire sign to fire sign, Leo, the Jupiter in Leo. And so that flings another door open, heart chakra wise. Let's say like Uranus is like the crown chakra or the third eye chakra, whatever. I know it's different, but 6 and 7, I guess. And so there's just, again, more open-heartedness. And then Jupiter will be opposing Pluto, which isn't the worst thing. It's when you have a configuration, sometimes there's one that is a little more of what we think of as a challenging angle with an opposition, but it's playing with everybody. It's interacting with everybody. And it kind of, the Jupiter opposing Pluto in Leo, Jupiter and Leo opposing Pluto in Aquarius is like, this is what's really right. And people who feel maybe nervous to express themselves are able to challenge themselves, to speak up, to believe they deserve better. It can even be like if they have an eating issue and you should, whatever, eat lower glycemic foods or something, or shouldn't have gluten or something. There's a way you can like stand up and say, I'm not going to just do what I've always done. I'm going to go against the grain a little bit and know that it hurts to not have the chocolate cake at the birthday party, but I'm going to be good to myself. This is ultimately loving to myself. So there's a way that the Jupiter opposing Pluto can challenge in a good way to ultimately be doing the loving thing, So that is all kind of great. And like I said, Jupiter's in Leo for the whole year. And it's kind of like, it's people who are fiercely protective of others. There's something about Leo that says, it isn't just like you coming at me. That is part of Leo, of like me. But there's also like my little cubs, and who I'm in charge of, or you messing with my friend, And so there's a way that you look out for people and expand your sense of self. That's the best thing about Jupiter in Leo is that, I don't know, people say, hey, you're part of the family now. You came over my house. So like, I grew up with a lot of Italian people in Boston, and it's like, it's like, you're one of us now, kind of, and you come in and you get all the food you want and this sort of thing. And there's something big and inclusive like that about Jupiter and Leo. Like, we're all in this together. The sense of me, Leo, expands Jupiter to include you, not in a weird narcissistic way. And just saying like, we're all here, and I've got love to share. I've got passion to share. I've got uplifting energy to give you. I have emotional bandwidth to connect with you and find out about you and spread good feelings. So it's cool. I'm excited about that. With all the way it's working with the outer planets, gives it even more oomph, And then Mercury's retrograde, but that's okay, right? It's okay. Mercury retrograded it was like the 29th of June, so last few days of June, and it goes direct on the 23rd of July. And then sometimes people like to know when it catches up with itself to start covering new territory, and that's going to be August 7. But it's retrograding in Cancer, which is, again, a lot about self-care, meditating on self-care. I always feel when Mercury's retrograde, it's a great time to check in with yourself about what that sign represents. And Cancer is a lot about eating, food, health habits, about getting enough sleep, different self-care things, nurturing the people close to you, again, in that sort of motherly sort of way, it seems, as opposed to the Jupiter in Leo, but including yourself on that caretaking list. And even going back to tried and true methods is when Mercury's retrograde, it's like going back to something in the past. If there was an eating pattern that made you feel better, or some like basic common sense things like don't like watch horror movies on your phone at 11 at night, because then you can't sleep and you've got the blue light thing that screws up your pituitary or pineal gland, whatever it is. You know what I mean? So it's like, just duh. And sometimes it can be simple things. Just don't do that, and you'll sleep better. And, don't have coffee before you go to bed or whatever. Sometimes it's like basic things you return to, like, oh yeah, I was doing some dumb stuff there. And so there's a return to things that have worked before for self-care. And they just very simple. It doesn't have to be this big plan. Just something small could make a difference. Shutting the TV off at midnight instead of 3 in the morning or whatever. Get caught up in some binging a Netflix show or something. But it's just one basic change can make big results in your nervous system and your capacity to really enjoy yourself and things. So that could be part of that Mercury retrograde. And also looking at patterns of like negative self-talk. And even if you feel like, oh, I thought I overcame that, sometimes Mercury retrograde things pop up again to look at again. And you just kind of, would clean it off again. I remember I had a friend who we were in a personal growth kind of thing. And she was talking about, like doing this internal assessment. And she's kind of like cleaning the kitchen floor. Like you clean the floor, but then you live in the kitchen and it gets dirty again. And it's not like you didn't do a good job before. It's just you keep up with maintenance of your internal state, And so watching yourself for not being like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm doing that again. Because not only are you doing the bad habit again, but then you're mad at yourself for doing the bad habit. It's like, no. Like be kind and gentle with yourself with that Cancerian Mercury retrograde and say, that's okay. I'm cleaning the floor again. And it wasn't as bad as a deep cleaning because you're looking at yourself and going, uh-oh, I started the negative self-talk or started eating chocolate cake after dinner, a whole cake or whatever. Oopsies, felt better when I wasn't doing that for 3 months. This kind of a thing. So trying to be gentle with re-implementing things, even if it's like, seriously, this again? It's like, yep, this is your little go-to kind of funny, safe space that doesn't really make you feel safe, or a comfort zone that's ultimately makes you uncomfortable. But it's like revisiting and thinking, wow, I haven't done that for 3 months, or it wasn't as hard to do it as before, or instead of eating the whole cake, I was eating half a cake. And it's like, okay, let's reset and move forward and know that you're nurturing yourself. So that's part of that Mercury retrograding in Cancer. The other exciting thing is that Mars is moving into Gemini. So again, I know I throw a lot of stuff and some people say, you say all this stuff I don't understand about the details, but I like to give that to some people that like the details. So Mars being in Gemini, that means it conjuncts is the same as the planet Uranus, and it sextiles the Jupiter being in Leo, and then it sextiles Neptune and trines Pluto. So we already have the Uranus, Neptune, Pluto going, yay, we're having a party. And then Jupiter is like, woohoo, I'm at the party too. And then Mars is like, hey, wait for me, and Mars is very energetic and hopeful. And in Gemini, it's about breakthrough ideas. Again, people speaking up for themselves, people speaking their truth, people being unafraid to be their authentic self. And then all of that is included in collective. Like me speaking up also helps the underdog or other people, or I'm inspiring people that are shyer to speak up for themselves or think, yeah, I should take better care of myself too, or something. Like by you being authentic, it is like a positive reverberation through your social groups or work or family or whatever. So there's a sense of that connection, and the things you do are impacting others in a real positive way. But Mars is really courageous, it's really vital, and it's like efficient actions that get results, or again, that trigger in a positive way someone else to do something, and like a positive domino effect. So, And that is mostly at the beginning of July that Mars, because it moves pretty fast, and even Jupiter gets, trucking along there too. But Mars and Jupiter connecting like that, even without the Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, is like action Mars with Jupiter, the belief system. So we're acting on what we want to do. And then combining with those bigger picture planets, it's a great time for, again, positive breakthroughs and renewal of hope. And it's just a nice time to have in the summer too. It's just fun, So, okay. So if you want to, let me make sure I didn't forget anything in my little notes now. Nope. Okay. Got it all. So let me know if you'd like to get a session with me. AlunaMichaels.com is my website, but kind of the best way to get in touch with me is the phone number, my cell phone that I have underneath the YouTube, 248-583-1663. Text me or call me there. And we'll have a wonderful July, and bye-bye for now. See you in August.